right, so we got the NSX back together. We checked out the starter wire and that was good. So all of this is filled back up. For those who don't know, we made a sweet little bleed cap here, so that's all done. We've actually got to start the car up though. For now though, we are just checking for the ibooster. We put the new ibooster in and it's powered up. And survey says it needs to be bled.
But it's working?
Yeah, ibooster's working fine. Hold on. Hey, disconnect the power from it real quick. So we've got the ibooster just wired up to the battery for now. And we're just kind of checking it. I don't know, it feels like it's bled. Power back up. I actually think it's... Hold on. Let me pump it up a couple times here. I mean, it's not going anywhere. Pedal's not sinking to the floor. Try to turn the... Grab the lug nuts and try to turn the actual... Nothing? Yeah. Alright. Good? I mean, the pedal's not sinking. It just feels soft, but it's like... I don't know. Like, it doesn't feel like it's...
lighter than the Supra?
You know, I don't know. That's actually a really good question.
This has a shorter rod than the Supra.
Oh, that's true. I mean, but the rod throw wouldn't change. I mean, but it's not sinking, so I don't think it needs to be bled. Maybe the...
It's just super soft.
Yeah, maybe it needs... Maybe the rod might need to be adjusted.
I don't think there's any adjustment on this rod.
Oh, you're right. You're right. There's not an adjustment.
I tried to. I had the pin... It went in smoothly, but I had to like wiggle it to go in, and I had to put it the opposite way.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it feels fine. Should be good. Just rinsing off the NSX here. It's all super dusty and gross. I got like all sorts of dust over my fingers, so we're gonna go ahead and just rinse this one down real quick, and then just get some of the dust off of it. And then I'm gonna work on pulling out the alarm, because I'm pretty sure that's actually the reason why the starter signal was not working. So this had an alarm on it since like 2014 or something like that. And so it's, unfortunately it's an aftermarket alarm, so it's probably no good. And so I'm gonna go ahead and work on pulling that out, but I had to get the guys to rinse it off just because that is just too disgusting to work on. All right, so NSX is rinsed off here pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and make some changes to the ECU. So we did a forward throttle body and idle valve on this, but I never actually set it up. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this set up. Like it won't idle on its own. So I did double check it to make sure that it is wired up. So we got that going for us. And so now I'm just going to see if we can get it calibrated and working, and see if it'll hold idle on its own. All right, so playing with the idle valve, I finally got it to idle somewhat decent. It's not perfect by any means. So what it was the idle valve was actually backwards. So on the forward valves, they actually use vacuum to pull the valve shut. And so when you start to add duty cycle to it, it starts to kind of force the plunger open, and that's how it works. And so it relies solely on engine vacuum to keep it shut, and then you power it up, and then it starts to move inch its way out. Now the thing is that we used to use the Ford idle valves a lot. We don't really use them that much anymore, just because that on the aftermarket side, there's just a lot of them that suck. And then the other side of that is that if you have a car that does not have great engine vacuum, for instance, if you have like a 2J with a really aggressive cam, or any motor with an aggressive cam, it doesn't provide enough vacuum to get pulled shut. Now, for guys who are moving over to Ford valves, I do want to mention that they do come in 3 different flavors. They come in 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder, and V8. And so the thing about those is that you have to really gauge them to the engine that you're working on. So I see that a lot. Like a lot of guys with 2Js will put like one from a 5-liter, 5.0, and the 2J does not produce enough vacuum to pull it shut. So the difference to them, as far as I know, is like, besides the size and the ports themselves, is that the internal spring is a bit different from my understanding. So make sure that you do size it. Again, if you've got like a motor with like a really heavy cam on it, sometimes it doesn't hurt to move to a 4-cylinder style valve, so long as the ports all line up. So do keep that in mind for next time. But like I said, I've got this idling at 1,000 RPMs or so, and it is not in closed loop at all. So the ECU is not correcting for anything, and it seems to be idling pretty good. It's a touch low. It's also low on fuel though, but it seems like it's working pretty good here. But like I said, yeah, so we'll go ahead and I'm going to hook up the ibooster now because we haven't ran the wire inside. I'm gonna go ahead and hook that up and then we're gonna test it out. All right, so we've got the ibooster harness hooked up. This is something that we're gonna have for sale. It's just a universal harness that allows you to basically battery power, battery ground, and key on power. And right now I've just got it jumped directly to the battery for now. Oh goodness. And so, yeah, ibooster feels great, just like it did the other day. So let me go ahead and back the car out. Now, hopefully the ibooster is good. Otherwise, I'm going to run into the blue Supra that we're getting electric AC on. So yeah, I mean, ibooster feels great. It's sensitive, like in a good way. So okay, cool. So everything is working on this as far as I can tell. Definitely haven't hit any cars yet, so that's a plus. So let me go ahead and pull this sucker back in. Oh yeah, definitely, brakes definitely bite in a good way. And the fuel light's finally on, which is also a big plus for us. And the reason why I say that is simply because the car's been sitting for a while, so fresh fuel never hurt anybody. So this is why I hate working on older cars too. This interior trim stuff, it's falling apart. So even like this one right here, we got it out, but as you can see, it snapped off. This one was like there wasn't even anything in there for this side, but fortunately enough, this piece is large enough for me to plastic weld back together. But you can see that someone's been in here before because looks like they took a soldering iron or something and basically just melted this plastic together. So I'll try to throw a staple in this, but this stuff is just, it's old, it's brittle, it's falling apart. But setting this aside, this is actually what we're after here. You can see that there's all this alarm wiring stuff here that's just coming all apart right here. You can see that the alarm brain box is just sitting right here. So I'm pretty sure this is our starter problem here. So I'm going to do my best to basically undo all of this, and then that way I can figure out where they intercepted the starter wire. So a lot of alarms have like a starter disable. So we're gonna go ahead and undo all this and put it back together. All right, so here's a vast majority of the wiring here. There's still a couple things that are ran somewhere. So this is ran somewhere underneath the carpet, and I'm not sure where. This wire, I know what this is. This is actually the fuel pump relay wiring that I ran a long time ago. I kept it loose because I couldn't really route it at the time. So we've got a good bit of it pulled out. I'm just gonna cut these for now. I'm just gonna cut them off one by one just to get them loose, and then I can get the majority of the junk out here. But I did already isolate the actual starter wiring and undid basically what they did, and hopefully now we should have a good starting signal. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this loose here, and then I'm just going to go through and try to crank the car and make sure that it works still. So we got some good news and some bad news. Good news is that I've pulled basically all the alarm wiring out here. So they had wires ran from basically the passenger to the driver's side with a bunch of vampire taps. So like you can see, there's vampire taps here, and there's a couple in here, which I'm assuming is, you know, like the turn signal, brake light type stuff. So I've got to reinstall this panel here. The bad news though is that I accidentally pulled out the wires for the power tune digital display. So the cluster unfortunately is not coming on anymore. That's pretty easy there because I'm pretty sure I know where the wiring's at. I've got to go through and pull out this panel back out because there was some loose wire that was down here that I guess I did not pull out all the way. So it sucked to pull this one out because of the angle. So I'm going to pull this back out and remove the rest of the wiring. So I'm putting the driver's side back together for now. Fortunately enough, that the wiring is relatively accessible for the power tune display. So I'm going to go ahead and just wrap everything up here. I've already fixed this lower panel here with some staples. So it's not as strong as it could be, but it's, I mean, it's stronger than being broken off. So got that all knocked out there, and then I will, like I said, go ahead and start putting this back together. The hardest part for me, I think, on this one is actually the footrest. The footrest has two 10mm bolts that are at like a really awkward angle, but I mean, you know, not a huge deal. So let me go ahead and wrap this up. 10 bajillion hours later, and I've got the interior back together, and it freaking sucked, man. Like, so what happens is this right here likes to stab you. So you're laying right here already, and like this was digging into my back, and this basically was like ripping into like underneath my arm. So I had a really good time. So the guy who owns this car, Mike, you know who you are. I hope you eat a dick. All right, everything done. As you see, the car starts up. Put a couple gallons of gas in it as well. So ibooster's not hooked up though, so brakes were really tough just now. But it started right up, so it cranked right up. So yay for that. And we're gonna call this one a day for now. Oh, and of course the power tune display is working, as you can see. So it's all done. It's actually idling pretty decent now that we got the valve set up, the idle valve set up pretty good. So now we've just got to do some more wiring to this thing, and then hopefully we're good to go at that point.